Picture this. It's the end of an incredibly long day. You're standing in your kitchen and, the lighting is just harsh. You load the very last plate into the rack. You push the dishwasher door shut and it bounces back.
Oh, man, yeah. It just won't latch.
Right, it won't latch. So you push it again, a little harder this time. Nothing. It just pops open. And suddenly, standing there alone in your kitchen, staring at a piece of plastic, you just start crying.
Or, slamming your hand on the counter and yelling. Or maybe both.
Exactly, both. Like, have you ever had a moment like that where a completely trivial appliance malfunction or just the tiniest, most minor inconvenience completely ruins your entire day?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's a visceral, almost universal image, really. Everyone has their version of the broken dishwasher.
Yeah, the dropped pen, the internet buffering for like 5 seconds.
The shoelace snapping, exactly. And you feel entirely ridiculous in the moment, right? Like you're losing your mind over absolutely nothing.
You really do. But today, we're doing a deep dive into the hidden mechanics of that exact moment. We're looking at some fascinating insights and clinical frameworks from coping and healing counseling.
Right. They're a telehealth therapy practice based out of Georgia.
Yeah, and our mission today is to figure out why minor daily inconveniences cause such massive outsized emotional reactions. Like, what is biologically happening in your body when you yell at an appliance?
And crucially, how modern therapeutic frameworks actually help manage this, without requiring you to move to a deserted island.
Right, because the very first thing you need to know about that breakdown in the kitchen is, well, it's never the dishwasher. The dishwasher is completely innocent.
Completely innocent. The cause of the breakdown is actually the 47 things that came before the dishwasher.
Yeah.
I mean, if we really want to understand the anatomy of why we snap, we have to dissect that specific sequence of events leading up to the kitchen. We have to look at the invisible weight you were carrying before you even touched the door.
So let's actually look at a sequence of these stressors, because just examining a typical Tuesday is almost stressful in itself. It's like a perfect recipe for a breakdown.
Oh, for sure. It usually starts small, right?
Yeah, like an unanswered email from your boss just sitting in your inbox.
Yeah.
Then there's a text message from a friend that you keep meaning to reply to, but you just haven't had the mental energy.
Right. And then your afternoon meeting runs 20 minutes over its scheduled time. Just look at the nature of those first 3 items.
Just logistical stuff, mostly.
Exactly. An unanswered email, a pending text, a meeting bleeding into your personal time. None of these are immediate, life-threatening emergencies. But in psychology, these are what we call open loops.
Open loops.
Yeah, and the human brain intensely dislikes open loops.
Right. What is it about an unread text message that bothers the brain so much?
Well, it goes back to something called the Zeigarnik effect. Our brains are hardwired to remember interrupted or incomplete tasks much more vividly than completed ones.
Huh. So it's like a survival mechanism.
Exactly. Kept
Yeah.
us alive.
Yeah.
But in the modern world, it means these unresolved tasks require continuous, low-grade cognitive effort just to keep track of them. You're essentially forcing your brain to run a subconscious script all day.
Like, don't forget this email, don't forget this text, don't forget this schedule change.
Right, just repeating all day long.
And then we add much heavier things to that list. Because beyond the logistical annoyances, there's the emotional weight.
Well, the emotional weight is huge.
Yeah. Like, imagine earlier in the day your kid said something to you. Maybe a passing comment about how you're always working, or, I don't know, a sigh of disappointment. And that comment is just sitting heavy in your chest. That's not a logistical open loop, that's an emotional one.
That's a massive qualitative shift in the type of stress you're carrying. Now, you're not just experiencing cognitive load, you're experiencing somatic tension, physical tension.
Right, because you said sitting in your chest.
Yes, the phrase sitting in your chest is incredibly accurate. When we experience emotional friction, especially with people we love, our nervous system physically braces itself.
Wow. So your breathing gets shallower, your muscles tighten up.
Exactly. You are physically carrying that emotional resonance while just trying to go about your normal day.
And we're still not done, because on top of the emails, the texts, the meeting, and the kid's comment, add sitting in bumper-to-bumper traffic on the way home.
Oh, traffic is the worst.
It really is. Then you walk in the door and you see the unpaid bill sitting in the kitchen drawer. You haven't opened it, but you know it's there. And finally, the constant inner voice in your head that just never stops narrating and judging this whole miserable experience.
Well, traffic is a profound stressor because it represents a complete loss of autonomy. You're trapped, unable to move forward, surrounded by noise and unpredictable drivers.
Yeah, you literally can't do anything.
Right. Your fight or flight system is subtly engaged, but you cannot fight and you cannot flee. You just have to sit there.
Just sitting and stewing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then you get home, and that unpaid bill in the drawer triggers financial anxiety and avoidance.
Yeah.
You know exactly where it is hidden. Your nervous system knows exactly where it is.
You know, looking at this whole sequence, the open loops, the emotional weight, the lack of autonomy, the financial dread, it reminds me of how a smartphone works.
Oh, that's a great analogy. How so?
Well, think about your phone. You open an app to check the weather, then you swipe out of it to go to your home screen. You open an app for directions, you swipe out.
Right.
You check your email, you swipe out. You think you've closed them because you can't see them anymore, but you haven't. They're all still running in the background.
Quietly draining the battery.
Exactly. They're constantly refreshing, constantly pulling location data, eating up your RAM, and then you try to do something incredibly simple like take a photograph.
The equivalent of closing the dishwasher.
Yes. And your phone just freezes and crashes. Everett, I'll deal with this later, is a background app, quietly draining your nervous system's battery.
I love that. And just like a phone, when your battery hits 1%, the system starts shutting down non-essential functions just to survive.
Right. So what shuts down first in a human?
In human beings, the first thing to go is executive function. Your ability to regulate emotions, exercise patience, and, think rationally.
Which explains the yelling at the plastic appliance.
Yes, exactly. Coping and healing counseling uses a deeply validating phrase for this exact state. They tell their clients, you're not too sensitive, you're not overreacting, you're full.
Wow, you're full. I feel like we need to linger on that for a second.
It's powerful, right? You are full. The nervous system has been quietly holding all of those unresolved moments, all of those background apps, and it literally has no more capacity for new data.
You're full. That really changes the entire dynamic of the kitchen breakdown. Because, when you're standing there yelling at a dishwasher, the immediate thought is usually guilt.
Oh, always. What is wrong with me?
Right. Why am I being so sensitive? Why am I overreacting to a broken latch? But understanding that you are simply full, well, it completely neutralizes that guilt. You aren't reacting to the plastic at all.
No, you're experiencing a state that clinical psychology terms emotional flooding.
Emotional flooding. Okay, what is that exactly?
It occurs when accumulated, unresolved stress reaches a tipping point, completely overwhelming the nervous system's ability to cope.
Oh, the cup overflows.
Exactly. It's a physiological state where your rational brain, the prefrontal cortex, essentially goes offline, and your emotional brain takes the wheel.
Wait, biologically speaking, what is my amygdala actually responding to in that moment? Because, a dishwasher not closing isn't a threat to my survival. Is my brain really that easily confused?
Your brain isn't confused, it's just overwhelmed by the cumulative load. The amygdala evolved to detect threats, like a predator in the bushes.
Right.
When it senses a threat, it floods your body with adrenaline and cortisol. But the modern world doesn't have predators in the bushes. It has unread emails, traffic, and social friction.
And to the amygdala, a threat is a threat.
Precisely. It doesn't cleanly categorize traffic stress differently from predator stress. It just measures your total systemic threat level, which we call your allostatic load.
Okay, so let me get this straight. When I'm standing there losing my mind over the dishwasher, my nervous system is actually reacting to the traffic, the long meeting, the financial anxiety, and the kids' comment all at the exact same time.
Yes, exactly. When the cup finally runs over, the water spilling out isn't just dishwasher water. It's traffic water, and unanswered email water, and unpaid bill water.
That is wild.
The flooding is just an indiscriminate release of all the accumulated pressure.
Yeah.
The dishwasher was just the final drop that broke the surface tension of the glass.
Okay, but wait. Knowing why my phone crash doesn't automatically close all the background apps?
True.
Understanding the mechanics of emotional flooding is a huge relief for my guilt, but it doesn't actually solve the problem. I still have to drive in traffic tomorrow. I still have to answer those emails. So how do we actually release this pressure before we end up crying in the kitchen?
Well, that is where the clinical intervention comes in. When you look at how coping and healing counseling approaches this with their clients, they focus on two distinct actions.
Okay, what are they?
Identifying your specific flooding patterns, and then building capacity for sustainable emotional regulation.
I have to admit, I hear a phrase like building capacity for sustainable emotional regulation, and my eyes glaze over a little bit.
Fair enough. It does sound a bit clinical.
Yeah, it sounds like corporate synergy jargon. Like,
Right.
what does that actually look like for a real person on a regular Tuesday? Because we cannot eliminate the traffic.
No, you can't.
The emails are going to keep coming. The goal can't be to just live in a stress-free bubble, right?
Right. You cannot empty the ocean, but you can build a stronger, larger boat.
Oh, I like that.
Building capacity means expanding what psychologists call your window of tolerance. This is the zone where your nervous system feels safe and capable of handling stress without shutting down or exploding.
Okay, so how do therapists actually help you build a bigger boat?
It starts with somatic awareness. A therapist will work with you to recognize the physical signs that your cup is getting to three-quarters full, long before it spills.
So noticing it before it's too late.
Exactly. Maybe your jaw clenches when you read an email, or your breathing gets shallow in traffic. Once you identify those early warning signs, therapy provides you with tools to proactively drain some of that water throughout the day.
What kind of tools are we talking about?
Well, it might be learning how to stimulate your vagus nerve to signal safety to your body through specific breathing techniques,
Okay.
or it might be strategically closing small loops, like deliberately taking 2 minutes to reply to that pending text message, just to get it out of your working memory.
Just force closing a background app.
Yes, exactly. It's about actively giving your nervous system micro breaks, effectively force closing some of those apps so you reclaim your RAM before the end of the day.
There's a critical diagnostic checkpoint here, too. Because everyone on Earth has a bad day where the cup spills over and they yell at an appliance.
Of course, we're only human.
But if this disproportionate reaction is the rule and not the exception lately, like if every single minor inconvenience feels like a catastrophic, day-ruining failure,
That's a huge sign.
yeah, that is a clear signal from your body that your cumulative load has become unmanageable on your own.
It's a flashing red light on your dashboard. When emotional flooding becomes your baseline, your nervous system is basically begging for an intervention.
Okay, but here's the problem.
Yeah.
If my nervous system is already fried by just trying to do the dishes, the absolute last thing I have the bandwidth for is navigating the healthcare system.
Oh, absolutely. It's exhausting.
Right. The idea of researching a therapist, figuring out if they take my insurance, and then driving 45 minutes across town to an appointment, I mean, that easily just becomes thing number 48 on my list of stressors.
The logistical burden of seeking help often triggers the exact emotional flooding the person is trying to cure. It's a terrible paradox in mental health care.
A terrible paradox.
Yeah. The barrier to entry requires executive function, which is the exact thing you are lacking when you are flooded.
Which is why the specific structural model of coping and healing counseling is so incredibly practical. They've engineered their practice to remove these exact barriers.
Yes, they really have.
Let's look at the logistical relief first. They operate a 100% telehealth iPay compliant model, and they serve all 159 counties in the state of Georgia.
The psychological significance of that model cannot be overstated. By being completely telehealth, they are literally deleting sitting in traffic from the equation of getting help.
Which is huge, considering traffic was one of our main stressors.
Exactly. For someone in a rural Georgia county who might otherwise have to drive an hour each way just to see a specialist, taking that friction away makes therapy a source of relief rather than an additional chore.
You're getting care right in your living room.
Right? In the exact environment where you need to practice these skills, your own home.
And we're not talking about a small one-person operation here. They have a massive clinical scope with over 15 licensed therapists.
That's a very solid team.
Yeah, this includes licensed clinical social workers, licensed professional counselors, and licensed marriage and family therapists.
Having a diversity of licensure means they can approach your specific type of flooding from different therapeutic angles. But beyond the letters after their names, it's vital to note that this is a diverse, culturally competent team.
So why is cultural competence so critical when we're talking about stress and emotional flooding?
Because a one-size-fits-all approach to therapy rarely works. How we process stress, how we understand family dynamics, and how we carry generational trauma are deeply intertwined with our cultural background and lived experiences.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah, a culturally competent therapist understands that the 47 things filling your cup might include systemic pressures or cultural expectations that require a nuanced, specific approach to unpack safely.
Right. And they cast a very wide demographic net, too.
They do.
They offer individual therapy, couples counseling, family therapy, and they work with teens ages 13 and up, along with offering life coaching.
So really covering all the bases.
Exactly. So whether your cup is filling up because of that comment your kid made, or a breakdown in communication with your partner, or just general life transitions, they have a framework specifically for that.
And their specialties align so well with what we've been discussing.
Yeah, their specialties literally map perfectly onto our list of stressors: anxiety, depression, trauma, PTSD, grief, relationships, and general stress.
It's a comprehensive safety net designed to catch all the various types of water that cause the flooding.
But we have to talk about the biggest hurdle, the elephant in the room,
The unpaid bill.
the unpaid bill in the kitchen drawer. Because financial anxiety is one of the heaviest, most debilitating background apps draining our battery.
Oh, without a doubt.
How does a practice prevent the cost of therapy from becoming just another stressful bill that spikes your heart rate every time you look at your bank account?
Mental health care is notoriously difficult to navigate financially, and out-of-pocket costs can be astronomical. But CHC has actively structured their practice to mitigate financial friction.
Okay, how so?
For individuals in Georgia on Medicaid, they offer a $0 copay.
Wait, $0? That is massive.
It is. That instantly removes the financial barrier for a highly vulnerable population that is often carrying a disproportionate amount of allostatic load.
It changes the entire calculus of seeking help.
Absolutely. And for those with commercial insurance, they are in-network with major providers: Aetna, Cigna, Blue Cross Blue Shield, United Healthcare, and Humana.
Oh, wow.
For those patients, sessions range from just $0 to $40 a session. They have engineered their billing so that the act of seeking help doesn't add to the financial anxiety causing the flooding in the first place.
That's amazing. Removing that financial friction is in itself a therapeutic intervention.
It really is.
It's a full circle approach. They recognize that the modern world is relentlessly filling our cups with minor, continuous stressors, the open loops, the traffic, the emails, and they have built a therapeutic off-ramp that actively avoids adding to that load. No traffic to sit in, no massive surprise bills, culturally competent care from professionals, all accessible from your living room.
It shifts the entire narrative. Instead of telling yourself, I am broken and overreacting, you can recognize, my nervous system is functioning exactly as it should under an unsustainable load.
Right.
And here is a highly accessible mechanism to relieve that pressure and build a bigger boat.
So to bring this all together for you, the listener, if you have been walking around lately feeling like every little thing is about to break you,
Yeah.
if you are staring at an appliance or a slow internet connection or a dropped set of keys and feeling an overwhelming, terrifying urge to just collapse, remember the journey we've taken today.
Realize that the dishwasher isn't the real problem.
Exactly. Understand the cumulative heavy load of emotional flooding. Your brain is reacting to the 47 things that came before it. You are not too sensitive. You are full.
You are full.
And knowing that accessible, sustainable help exists is the very first step to emptying that cup. So if you are listening from Georgia and you're realizing that you need to start examining your own sequence of stressors, coping and healing counseling is ready to help.
And they make it so easy to reach out.
They do. You can reach them by phone at 404-832-0102. You can visit their website to learn more at chcctherapy.com, or you can email them directly at support@chcctherapy.com.
As we wrap up this deep dive, I'm going to leave you with one final thing to consider. We've talked extensively about how our nervous system quietly hoards every single, I'll deal with this later.
Storing them as background apps that drain our energy.
Right. So I ask you, what is the one unresolved task or lingering emotional friction from today that your nervous system is currently holding on to, which you haven't even consciously acknowledged yet? Check your background apps before you find yourself in the kitchen staring at a door that refuses to latch.